Hello out there, and welcome to episode 16 of season 4 of the Michael vs. Jason Horrorcast, where we love to bicker, argue, and debate all things horror, mainly one movie chosen at the end of each episode by the Devil's Wheel, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And newsflash, I won.
Stop the presses.
Stop the presses. I actually won this week, and I guess I answer the age-old tale of if you took Power Rangers and you made it, I guess, a little bit more violent and a lot more curse words.
A little bit?
A lot more violence and a lot more curse words.
It's closer to like Hellraiser, you know what I mean?
Yes,
With Power Rangers.
I will take your soul. Yes.
Yeah.
That is the movie that we have this week. If you have no idea what we're freaking talking about, I'm talking about PG Psycho Goreman from 2021. As always, I'm your host, Mike. That other voice you heard is the only other member of the podcast crew this week. It's just Kirk and I. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Like I was just saying, I was before we started here, I did the math. Every time he wins this week, it's just me and him. So you're
Jason
in for a treat.
Really doesn't like my movies.
He doesn't like you, man. He doesn't like, or you want to vote him off the island just so you win more often.
I mean, at this rate, I guess it is something I need to think about.
Yeah, you'd actually win a few.
It's just the 2-man crew. Screw you, Jason. No, so he did watch Psycho Goreman. I do have some scores. He did not want to watch this movie again.
Yes,
but here we are. And
it was my first time viewing. It was his second. So
it was his second, my second, your first.
First.
And if this is a first-time viewing for you out there, or if you haven't watched it yet, this would be the time to pause it, because we are going to spoil the absolute shit out of this movie. Fair warning. So that's the only warning we're giving you. You know, so have at it. Have at it. I will take your soul.
You saw the title of this. You clicked on it. Keep it moving.
I mean, you do say that every week, and every week when you say that, it makes perfect sense of you did click on this podcast, so that's on you. But before we get into Psycho Goreman and do the ratings and reviews, and we're going to spin the wheel coming up to find out next week as well with the Devil's Wheel. But before we get into any of that, how we always like to kick off the show.
It's Pardon the Terror time. All right, woo-hoo. So it is, woohoo! So it is beginning of May. It is our first podcast in May. So what does that mean? That means coming soon. So what's coming to May? What kind of movie releases are we getting? And what type of theatrical releases and streaming? Sorry, I kind of messed that up. Streaming releases are we getting? So I usually just dive right into the theatrical releases, but there's one that's coming out that I think is a little near and dear to Mike's heart here, so I thought I would let him kick that one off first.
I mean, are you going all the way out to May 17th here?
It's to the 17th. It's all the way to the 17th.
Strangers, Chapter 1, the new trilogy.
I knew you were excited about this one, so I'll let you have your time.
I love home invasion movies. I love the Strangers franchise. Well, I like part 2 more than part 1, and I know this is more part 1, but I'm very excited. I'm also just anytime we get a decent horror release in the theater, I love it. You know, because a lot of what I have written down is more video on demand, and there's some stuff I'm excited about, but this one coming to the theater, yeah, very excited.
It's definitely a retaking of what happened with the character. So for what I understand with Strangers Chapter 1, it's going to kind of be a remake of that first one, and then it's going to play right off of it instead of telling a whole new story that we like we did in the one we just reviewed a few months ago. When was the last time you won again? I don't remember.
It's been it's only been a couple weeks, believe it or not. So
yeah. The last one we did, The Strangers Pray at Night, right? So that was a whole new story. So they're going back, redoing the original and continuing that story. And we're getting 3 movies in less than a year, or right in a year.
Yeah, we already discussed that. I think in the news that the next Strangers, I think September, October timeframe of this year. So very exciting stuff that we'll get 2 this year.
Yeah. So 2 Strangers, Chapter 1 and 2. I have no idea where they're going to take it, because I feel like the first one last time was an extremely simple story, effective but simple. It was more of a character base. So I wonder if they're going to click up the horror, or what they're going to do with it to make it fresh.
I could tell you, I mean, just the creepiness of them standing outside, and where you can do now with Ring door cams and you know, some of these, you know, surveillance systems that are out there, which, you know, like The Purge, right? When they're showing like, if you use that well enough, I think they could really knock it out the ballpark, because home invasion happens and it's scary as shit.
Yeah. Well, not, hopefully it doesn't happen like this, but you know, people do break into houses.
They do. Well, listen, that's Strangers. What else is on tap for you? What are you excited about?
Yeah, so theatrical release is coming up, so just checking them out. So Faceless After Dark's coming out the same weekend. I think that's strange that we have two movies coming out the same weekend, both horror in the theaters. So
that one's going to be more, I think, of a limited release.
Okay.
So we'll see. But yeah, that one's a slasher as well, but it's like a clown, like a killer.
Yeah, it looks like a clown
something.
Type thing. Yeah,
it sounds like a girl's making a movie where, you know, it's like a meta thing where there's a serial killer in the movie, but then the serial killer actually, people start dying from what looks like the serial killer. I think something like that.
Yeah. So, and then the other two both come out the same days too, May 31st, in a Violent Nature and Deer Camp 86. So. I've seen some trailers for In a Violent Nature. I haven't seen anything for Deer Camp 86.
In a Violent Nature, I am
looks
ecstatic. You understand the premise of this movie, right? So this is a horror movie. It's a slasher, but it's told from the eyes of the slasher. So imagine if you were following Jason Voorhees around, or Michael Myers around Haddonfield. That's what you're getting with In a Violent Nature. So you're going to see firsthand from the serial killer. I think it's a cool concept. Will they deliver? I don't know, but I'm very excited.
You have to be very creative to write that one. So hopefully they do bring it, and it's actually not cheesy. They did it. They've done this once before with Jesus, I already forgot the name of the movie. Help me. Come on.
Well, are you thinking of the comedy, the
yes.
Rise of
Leslie Vernon. Leslie Vernon. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that movie.
But
that was more of a comedy. This is going to be more
of a behind the scenes. This is actually, I think it's like a monster, like Jason Voorhees or Michael, where I don't think it talks and it's just following. So this is going to be, I think, more ominous and violent, if you will. So
is it found footage? That seems like it would lend itself to found footage, doesn't it?
Well, it can't be found footage because you're through the eyes of the
door
killer.
Cams.
So unless
I guess you could do it.
I guess you could. Well, listen, we will find out. But this is one that I actually might head to the theater and see myself.
Hey,
let's
make it a date night.
Let's do it. We can hold hands and braid each other's hair.
Hold hands. And then Deer Camp 86. At first, when I saw this poster, I thought it was like a Fear Street type thing. I was like,
I never even heard of this. I didn't even see this coming out. So
yeah.
This?
Well, at first when I pulled it up, I thought it was the Fear Street that's coming up, but it's 1986. So Jason, if you're listening, calm down. So it's about six friends traveling up north to do some traditional deer hunting thing, and they awaken some horrific monster or beast or something. I don't know. So it looks like it's set back in the 80s, which you have my attention, and it's six people. So, probably 5 to 6 people die. And they're going north and they're going to be secluded. So like a slasher type thing. It's May's the month of slashers, I guess.
Yeah. There's more slashers here. So one that I'm excited about is
this theater or streaming?
These are streaming. Well, there is one other theater one that we could talk about if you want, which is Tarot.
Tarot. Yeah. So I've seen reviews on that already. Yes.
This one looks like I didn't see the rating. It feels like it's a PG-13. It's exactly what you think. Somebody finds some tarot cards and they predict some pretty dastardly things, happening. If it's rated R, I'm excited. If it's PG-13, I probably will just end up skipping it.
So the reviews I've seen on that on Tarot, because I went ahead and watched it because I thought the creature design looked pretty neat to it, because they get dealt a card and then that's the card that tries to kill them. it's a very empty husk of a movie. Was the review I'm hearing that basically that's it. They have cards, and then those things do the common like swoosh in front of the screen, and somebody dies from that thing.
I mean, if the deaths are cool, it's great. But if they don't show it, it's not going to be worth it for me.
I don't know. Is tarot PG? Tarot? How do you say that word?
Tarot, like a tarot.
Tarot. It is PG-13.
I had that feeling, that
the other telltale sign, if it's right at or around 90 minutes, and it's an hour 32 minutes. So 90 minutes is usually a telltale sign, and then PG-13.
I don't know if 90 minutes means it can't be rated R, but
it's no. Not that it's rated R, but it's going to be any good. I mean, more the hour, the 90-minute thing is. It kind of gives you pause, but it's not a big. But if you put those two together, it's like PG-13, 90 minutes. They were struggling.
Well, some other ones. So video on demand now that I'm looking forward to. One is actually a limited theater release, but more video on demand. It's I Saw the TV Glow. This is a new A24 movie. It came out on May 3rd. And what this basically is two kids really like this supernatural show, and then it just disappears, and there's something ominous going on. But there's actually been some chatter about this movie. I don't know too much about it, but the fact that it's ominous and it's A24, I'm going to check it out. So I see you looking into it right now.
Yeah. A24 is always good. The kid that's in this, that's a weird looking creature. The kid that's in it, I've seen him in something else. I just can't put my finger on it.
He's been in actually a couple.
The light skinned black kid. I've seen him in Justice Smith. I've seen him in other things before. Oh, he was in Pikachu.
I mean, he's in a lot of things, but
yeah. Jurassic World, Dungeons and Dragons.
That's one thing. May 3rd, again, which has already happened at the recording of this podcast, but there's something called Something in the Water, which is a Caribbean shark, if you will. It's just another shark movie that's out there, but we're heading into the summer season. Everybody loves shark movies.
Yeah.
Something's in the water. I don't know much about
Piranha, shark in the water. Something in the water.
But one that I am excited about was one that you and I were supposed to see during the Popcorn Frights Film Festival down here in Miami. It's finally hitting video on demand in a couple days, May 7th, and it's Founders Day. And it's another slasher, but this one is basically during an election. People start getting picked off in a town and being murdered by some slasher in a Founders Day mask type deal.
Does that give you some type of Thanksgiving vibes?
It definitely does, but and they came out actually right around the same time. Founders Day might have come out a little bit before, because I think you and I were supposed to see it maybe in October.
Yeah.
But it's finally hitting video on demand. It's actually when it went through like the festival circuits and stuff, it got some decent acclaim. I don't know if it'll be any good, but it gives me Purge Thanksgiving vibes when you look at just kind of like the pictures of it.
The mask looks pretty cool on that one. The only thing that gives me a little bit pause, it's I Google searched it, and it says people also searched for It's a Wonderful Knife 23. That gives me some pause. So
some people actually did like that movie. I just want you to know that.
I don't know who those people were.
I didn't dislike it. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I don't think it is. You were like a bad. 4. I was like a 2 something. Yeah, I mean 2's terrible. 4 is below average. It's still not good, but it's.
You weren't super high on it. I was just cracking on you.
I mean, do you have other things you want to bring up? Because I got more.
No, keep doing your thing. I always dig into the theatricals. I'm always interested in what's coming to the theater, and I don't, you always post that on our Facebook group if you're not on there already. The stream coming to streaming here soon. I got to get that selfless plug. And I always read through all that and pick out the stuff I want to see. So that's how I kind of learn when it comes to streaming, is by your post on our Facebook group.
Well, a couple more then. So on 5/17 coming to Shudder, it's called Night Watch, Demons Are Forever. This is a part 2, I guess, from an original movie called Night Watch, which maybe I've seen, maybe I haven't, but it's got, if for the Game of Thrones fans, Jaime Lannister, he's the star. I think it's Nicholas or Nikolai is his name.
He's got a very
But that is coming. Very low barrier of entry. It's Shudder. I don't know if it's any good, but it's coming on May 17th.
Nikorja Coaster Wadu.
I like him though.
I burned that. Yeah. It looks interesting. Definitely looks interesting. It's got a cool poster, so I like that. Night Watch was. There's been a bunch of movies titled Night Watch. I know this is
a sequel to one of the movies called.
There's a TV series. There's a 1997 movie Night Watch.
I think it's the 1994 because that Nikolai guy.
He was in it then too.
Is in it. Yep. So.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. There he is. It is the 1994.
So there's got to be that one. So maybe we need to watch that one before we watch this one. But spoiler alert: if you watch the first one, he must live because he's in the second one and he's a star.
He's a baby in that first one. That's pre Jamie Lannister. So
yeah,
it's getting.
This is before he slept with his
6.1.
Yeah. What, the original one or the new one?
New one, 6.1, and Google users 71%. So it's getting decent reviews.
Right. Some other things coming. Abigail is supposed to come to streaming on 5/7, and on 5/14 is supposed to be Sting, which was one of the Spider movies in the theater. Right. So both of those are hitting video on demand.
We talked about those last month, early April too. When they're coming to theater.
They're finally. I'm excited to see them. And then just some movies that have actually already been out a little bit, but Jester now hits Shudder. Like I said, I don't think the movie's that great, but it does have some creepy scenes, and you brought it up. And Shudder also took on all the Toxic Avengers. So if you want to see those, definitely go to Shudder. Talk to Me is now on Showtime. So
I'll give that a big thumbs up. I like Talk to Me.
One of the best movies of last year.
For sure.
So that's there, and then all the Hellraisers are on Prime.
I didn't see the first one. Right, it was like 2 through Shenanigans, whatever. The found footage one they did.
To be honest with you, whether it's the Friday 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Hellraisers, they're always on one streaming platform. Right. It's just they fall off one and go to the next. So Hellraiser's probably on 3 of them right now, and maybe not on Prime, but Prime has all the other ones.
I'm a big fan of the Hellraisers. I thumbs up that one. I know you're not as much, but yeah.
I do want to point out, we also asked a question on the horror group of the Mount Rushmore. There was Freddy, Jason, and Michael, and it said, who would be the fourth? And I put in there, to me, it's Leatherface. And we probably had about 50 responses in there. And I would say 35 to 40 of them were Leatherface.
There's probably about 5 of them that were Pinhead.
There was about 5 Pinheads and about 5 or 6 ghost faces.
Chuckies. So there's some Chuckies in there,
I think there was 1 or 2 Chuckies in there, yes. But I think Leatherface was the
winner. It's definitely the winner. The competition is, I think, to me, it's clear. It's between Pinhead and Leatherface. I think you're hitting another level with the other people.
Ghostface definitely has an argument in there now.
I told you my argument on Ghostface. Ghostface isn't a person. Ghostface is a costume.
That's true. I mean, as we discussed with Leatherface, he doesn't even do 50% of the kills in the movies. It's the family. So, I mean,
the 2022 one, he did them all.
I mean, he was pretty pissed off in that one. So,
his
but not at all.
Died.
So, yeah, it was his mom.
He took her face. His mom. It wasn't his mom. It was his caretaker, right?
I thought that was his mom. Maybe it was his caretaker. I don't know.
We need to rewatch
that part
of
the movie was irrelevant to me. Yes. I just wanted to see
Chainsaw Bus go.
Yeah. and that one girl lose her head made me feel really good about life.
I should have gave it a +1 bonus just for that.
We all should have.
Yes.
You might have, actually. I don't even remember.
I think I probably did.
All right. So I think that's any other coming soon or coming to streaming or anything you're excited about?
That's all the ones I've seen. If you guys know anything, go on to MVGA Horror Group. Let us know what you're seeing out there. There is a post that Mike put out there that it lays out all the streamings. He does it at the beginning of every month. I think it's great. I'm always digging through it to see what I'm going to watch through the month. But in the theaters, we've got a biggie coming, so I'm excited. And me and Mike have a date night, so I'm excited about that too.
We're gonna have to. It's got to be a couple. I'm out of town on that day, but
the 31st, so it'll be in June.
So. Oh no, the 30. That one. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Strangers. Strangers.
Yeah. Well, we'll see that eventually too. So I'm sure.
Actually, Yeah. Well, yes.
Yes.
It's happening. So,
It's happening.
all right. Then I think it's time to head to the main feature.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome back. And as we just previously discussed, I finally won. Hell is starting to thaw. We'll just or wait.
It's
Hell
starting to
doesn't
freeze
thaw.
over.
It's starting to frease over. See, I can't even get analogies right
He
because
doesn't know how to win. Be kind to him, people.
I used to win. Back in the day, it was amazing.
Yes,
But this year, it's only my third victory.
Fourth.
But
Don't sell yourself short, my friend.
was it my fourth?
This was your fourth, right?
I don't think so. I think it's my third.
So, all right, let's do this. We got Splinter. We got this movie.
Strangers.
Strangers Pray at Night. Is that it?
I think that's it. I got 3.
So we got Killer Clowns, Phenomena, Spring, Ninth Gate, Mandy, Strangers, X, Street Trash, Relic, Unholy, Ravenous, Halloween Ends, Chuds. You're right. I was wrong.
Yep, it's only my third. But thank you for So if you haven't seen any of our episodes, Kirk just laid it out for you. But season 4 has not been the greatest season of my career.
Time with the devil.
I'm not playing for a contract this year, so I guess I'm just not trying my hardest. I don't know, but I've won 2 of the last 3, I think now. So
April's been good to you.
I'm on the come up here. We'll see what May has in store. But yes, I took us to 2021 and a little PG Psycho Goreman, which is on Shudder. So we already kind of talked. My second watch, your first.
Yep. And this movie is actually called PG Psycho Goreman. Like it's Gore Man, like Goreman.
Goreman.
Goreman. It's just a slight difference. But that doesn't matter because I got a clock here that is itching to hit start on because we have to do our 30-second synopsis. And Mike doesn't know how to do these, so we're going to see how great this is going to be. So as it sits right now, next words out of your mouth is all yours, my friend.
All right. So we have 2 kids that are playing some weird game where one has to be buried at the end of it, and while they're burying the child, they uncover a jewel. The girl takes it. When she takes it out, it brings to life this ancient alien monster from another planet. Whoever has the jewel gets to control this monster. So they do what normal 10-year-olds do. They just make him do a bunch of really stupid things while he wants to kill him the entire time. But during this, people from other planets realize he's alive. They come to attack him.
You got through the first 20 minutes of the movie.
I don't know. It's a weird one.
This is a movie there's a lot of explaining to get into. There's no other way to do it. It was an impossible task, so I don't feel that.
I feel pretty confident of what I was able to do because realistically, once people from another planet come down, he just annihilates them, and that's the end of the movie. So it's there's a heartwarming lesson in there somewhere as well.
Yeah, well, we'll talk more about that.
Well, let's talk. Jason's not here this week, but it doesn't mean that you can't.
Behind the screen.
All right, so it's behind the screen time, and I haven't done. Oh wait, I did it 2 weeks ago because Jason wasn't here. Then either we're just going to continue to make fun of him. All right, PG Psycho Goreman, or simply Psycho Goreman, is a 2022 Canadian science fantasy action horror comedy film written directed by Steve Kazansky, I guess. I don't know. Psycho Goreman was originally scheduled to premiere at South by Southwest in March of 2020, but the festival was canceled that year due to COVID. It screened later that year at Beyond Fest, Sitage Film Festival, and the Monster Fest. And then it was acquired by RLJE Films and Shudder. Psycho Goreman then was released on theaters and on demand in January of 2021. PG, Psycho Goreman, had a total budget of 850,000 Canadian dollars. That's like Monopoly money, but I'm not making fun of any Canadians here. Which is about 670,000 US. Only about $50,000 Canadian or US. I guess I'm making that up. Went to creature effects. It made a box office of $137,498. I don't know how they're that exact, but it made over $137,000. IMDb gives this a 6.3, and there are 76 deaths in this movie, most being in flashbacks and or montages.
Yeah, I think there's only really 12 or 13 actual.
I think it's a little bit less than that. No, yeah, I don't know. There's so many montages with people just dying.
And the director, aren't you a fan of the movie The Void?
Yes, is that the same guy?
Same director. Yeah.
Oh, I love The Void. Yes, The Void.
So same director. This was his. The Void. He partnered up with another director, and they co-directed that movie. This one was Steven or Steve's, whatever his name. This was his own.
Steven Kazansky.
But yeah,
yes.
But yeah.
No, yeah. So, 76 deaths. A lot of them happened in montages or flashbacks, and then I'm not even counting on the rampage at the end. Like he goes, I think destroys the planet at the end. I don't know what they were assuming there, but I got some fun facts for you here. So I got 3 fun facts that I thought were interesting. So the film includes a zombie cop. I guess we'll call that a zombie cop, but that is a reference to another movie that Kazansky did in 2012 called BioCop. Might be interesting. It's a short film, but it might be interesting to look at. The full makeup of putting him in the PG costume took so many hours that most of the crew didn't recognize the actual actor in the movie. Yeah. And then third, all the scenes with the kids were shot first and then followed by shooting scenes with adults as stand-ins for the kids later. So they separated the kids from the gore, I guess. I don't know, but they separated into 2 different.
Maybe also kids shooting at night. You know,
Maybe.
I think there's child labor laws. Well, I don't think I know.
Canada might be a little bit different too. I don't know what the laws are up there, but
they just end with A.
Canadian, eh? We love Canada. Canada. We love Canada.
What you talking about?
Dude, talking about E. But I thought those were pretty interesting, especially for a recent movie. You don't usually get many fun facts in movies in the 2020s.
No, listen, I love it. And knowing how much they spent on the effects is actually very interesting for
$50,000
for what you get in there. So, all right, well, let's get into, I guess, our ratings. And here at the MVJ Horrorcast, we like to use a 1 to 10 rating scale, with 1 being the worst you can do and 10 being a masterpiece in that different act, if you will. We like to rate on 5 of those acts. And the very first one is Story Beats, which, Kirk, what is that?
Yeah, Story Beats is exactly what you think it's going to be. It's going to be our story, the concept, the 3 different acts of the movie, if there is one, if there isn't one, just any of the nitpicky things you have, just anything that drives our story forward. That's what our Story Beats are.
So
and this is your movie.
It is. So I guess I get to. I'm not used to.
This feels weird.
This whole starting thing is it's a foreign substance to me. But no, this is a very tough movie to dissect because it doesn't take itself seriously. It's not so unserious like a trauma movie like we've done in the past, but it doesn't try to make sense, and it doesn't try to.
This movie knows exactly what it is.
What it wants to do. It wants to be like a horror Power Rangers, just over the top, dumb. The way the characters play their everything is there. I mean, the story kind of sucks, really, when you look at it, but I will say the concept is great.
Story on its own 2 feet falls short. It's what the hell? But like he just said, concept, I thought I marked extremely fun. It's just a good time to watch. It makes you laugh. You say, oh shit, quite a few times. I don't, you know what I mean? There's just, they go there, right? They, except for child violence, but everybody's just getting murked in this randomly. I guess they do turn a child into a big brain, and he does.
I mean, they yeah, I mean, which is so over the top, weird and stupid, and even the end of the movie where they got the big brain child just sitting at the dinner table eating with the parents is hilarious. I think the humor in this movie, it's written very well. As in, you literally have. I guess you have like how old these kids have to be, like 10 and 11, right? Like somewhere in that age,
in that range, yeah.
Maybe even younger. I don't know. Maybe a little older. I'm not good with kids anymore, but I like that
teenagers.
If the kids took a gem, right? Like they wouldn't be like world domination. They want to play the dumb dodgeball game and make them do just dumb things. And I just love that Psycho Goreman is constantly like, I'm going to rip out your soul and feed it to your, rip out your, like, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. Let's go play dodgeball. Like, it's, to me, that keeps it fun.
I thought the jokes were 50-50. There was 50% that like hit really good. I was like laughing. And then half of the jokes just fell completely flat on its face. But the 50% that was good, I think, ruled the day. I thought they were very, very good. And I thought they were funny. I did hate that dodgeball game that they were playing. I thought that was really stupid. And that's the way they
so much of the movie. It starts, so much it ends, it's in the middle. It's like enough of the dodgeball game, whatever that weird game is.
It's that Mimi's the girl who finds the gem. She's a dick. There's no way to explain her. She's mean to everybody. She acts like a 1980s crazy person. No one acts like this. It's just bizarre, weird. She doesn't really work for me, but like Psycho Goreman works for me in every angle.
Well, you're getting more into our next category when you're talking about this.
I'm talking about the story beats. I'm not talking about her acting. I'm going to crush on here in a minute. I'm talking about just the way her story was written. It just was like, oh, this character is written so poorly.
Yeah and no. Like, I mean, her character is written as kind of like the bully to the older brother, really. And like that dynamic and that arc that happens, I don't hate that. I don't hate that arc that they give.
I'm going to talk about this several times, but the way the mom and Mimi were written were the masculine, were the domineering, and the way I'm going to forget his name because PG Psycho Goreman always forgets his name too. That's kind of an ongoing.
Luke.
And Luke and the dad are written as just complete pathetic buffoons. Yes. And that just bugs me when they do that. But it's like, okay, like come on, like can we write some? We can have quirks, but there's got to be normal-ish or something. Just everybody can't be pathetic. And there was just so much patheticness in this movie. Like there's an ongoing joke about the dad being lazy. Like it just was like, I get it. Oh, he sprained his wrist. Oh, this, like it just was an ongoing
but
thing.
I thought it was actually, it's humorous at times. I mean, the parents are terrible parents, both of them in this movie, but it's made to be that way. It's just how the story is written to be like,
it's what they did it all on purpose. I'm just saying some of these things didn't hit with me. The mom, I mean, she was wearing a flannel shirt with boots and slicked back hair and just was very masculine, and it's just like it was kind of talking shit to her husband the whole time. It just was weird to me the way they kind of wrote it, but it was supposed to be absurd. They did it on purpose. There's, like I said, it was 50-50 for me.
So I guess if we go to rate this here, I'll kick us off here.
I'm very interested in these ratings.
So I'm a 4 when it comes to story beats. And the reason being is I love the concept, and that's where it gets a lot of it. The story, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm also not a huge fan of the third act, which we didn't fully talk about, but it ends in this big, which you know is going to happen in the weird dodgeball game. But it was kind of like I wanted to see something way more violent at the end, and this dodgeball, it was kind of violent, but it wasn't like. So I'm a little below average here at a 4. Where are you at on this?
This is so funny. If you would have listened to us explain these, you would have never guessed where we scored them. I scored it a 6. The concept ruled the day for me on this. The
concept is great.
The concept is awesome, and then the different acts of it. There's a lot of fun to be had in this movie. I had some issues with the way the characters were written. I'm not talking about acting yet, just the way the characters are written. But a lot of that you can just ignore and push off, and anything with PG on it shined for me.
Well, to just throw Jason's score out there, he gave it a 4 as well in the story beats department, which takes us to act number 2, which we like to call the ARC. And it stands for acting, relatability, and character development. And also, I guess, the arc of, the characters throughout there. So, Kirk, what'd you think here?
Yeah. Well, I think you know where I'm going with this. So my first note on here is I hated every person except PG in this movie.
Absolutely.
Every human character was terrible.
Absolutely.
Like terrible. PG was great. Anytime he was on the screen, I was
he's in 90% of the movie, but
the thing is, when they would pan away to the teenagers, they weren't teenagers. When they would pan away to the kids, I'd be like, all right. But they would say something extremely stupid, and he would make the joke good. Like, oh, don't you think this boy's hunky? No, I don't like hunky. Maybe I do like hunky boy. I was like, that joke made me laugh so hard. Like, it
and
worked.
Then later he's like, not my hunky boys.
Not my hunky boys. And it's like everything he said hit so perfect, but everything everyone else said hit so poorly. And their acting was so over the top spastic. The acting was and like PG's lines were written well for him. His delivery. So the guy in the suit wasn't the voice that you were hearing, but his delivery on the comedy was great. But the delivery on all the other stuff just felt off to me. Well, everything felt off.
I agree with you on the dad and the sister. Like Mimi and the dad,
they were the worst.
Are over the top bad. And Mimi was like, once again, it's how the characters. I don't blame the acting. I actually think the kid actors did a really good job.
The story beats them.
She was over the top in everything that she was doing in her deliveries, but I think that's how it was. The dad was just written as the worst dad humanly possible.
Microwaving chicken and
I mean everything was terrible with that, but I did find humor in the dad. I will say the Luke, I thought he actually did a very good job. Like, he was a very good actor in this movie. For the lines that he had and for what he did, I don't think he overacted at all.
He was kind of a sidekick.
Well, yeah, everybody's a side character in essence to
Mimi
to PG, and then Mimi's right behind.
I think it was more of Mimi than. I think Mimi was probably the most screen timed person, and then it was PG after that. Yeah,
you're probably right. I mean, and we talked about the arc of this because there's not a lot of character development. I mean, you get PG's character development. You kind of understand the story, but you really don't need anything. Like, you don't want to know anything more about Mimi, Luke, or the parents. Like, it's irrelevant.
You get PG's full history.
You get his full history, which is
where it shined,
which is pretty good. But I actually don't mind the arc of the kids, of trying to make this like a heartfelt thing, at the end.
Mimi bullied Luke a lot through the entire movie. PG tried to put a wedge in him, get the gym, have him steal it from her, and then they connected back at the end of the movie. Hey, I love you. Like, I just treat you like I'm not treating you bad. It's just our personality. It's like they actually do love each other. They're siblings. Blah 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 blah. That was okay. Yeah, it was fine. Like, I wasn't there for that. But it was fine. They tried.
All right, so give me your score.
This is by far my lowest score. I thought the acting on it. Every point I give here is for the voice actor of PG, and I gave it a 3. So
I'm a little higher, but not much. I'm a 4. I'm a 4 here. PG. I like some of the art, but yeah, it's this. This is a tough one. This is just it's just tough. Jason was a 2 in this category. I'm sure the same thing. Hate the kids. But I thought they did fine for acting.
It's hard to write kids too. So,
once again, it's a Power Rangers, like a horror Power Rangers movie. It's centered around kids. So, which takes us to act number 3, which is a visual appeal, which is what?
Yeah, so that's going to be your effects, your visuals, your cinematography, your gore, any combination of any of those. Just, turn off your ears, stop paying attention to what's going on. What do you see on the screen? Pretty easy.
So I was actually, this is where I was blown away by your facts on this movie, because I think a lot of this looks really, the electricity's hokey.
It's rubber mask. It's Power Rangers rubber suit and masks.
Yeah, but I think of how many different people are in these big Nightbreed looking outfits. You know what I mean? And that's a lot.
The creativity of the suits was good. the effect of him opening up his jaw and eating people, and that ongoing joke of giving him a warrior's death, I thought was fabulous. Like him
and
eating,
it looked great. It looked
the
really
gore
good.
scenes were unreal. Good. I thought the gore was excellent. That guy standing there with his eyes spinning, he was in that.
Mm-hmm. And they kept going back to that. That whole scene is awesome too, because like I don't know how you were on your first viewing, but I remember going,
shit,
what have
they
I got
went there.
myself into? And then they immediately rips the dude's heads off,
Yeah.
or the two guys, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna be awesome.
Yes.
Like, this is gonna be awesome.
So, like I said, the gore was awesome. So what they did with the suits and the effects they gave some of awesome. But that being said, it is still rubber suits that look like Power Rangers. Like that's not a compliment, but it is, because I think it was purposefully done. Like I don't know how to score this. This was one of the harder ones I had to score, because it's like they had a small budget. So it's like, what do? Let's try to hide things, or let's just go ridiculous. And they went ridiculous, and I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. I think the visuals was definitely one of the better parts of the movie.
Like I understand the rubber suit, but you also just talked about how much time it took with Psycho Goreman in that suit. I'm thinking of like
covered head to toe. Like
I'm thinking of the other characters that were sitting around that table, and there's like the main girl that comes in. She definitely looks like a villain of the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But the one other one
Pandora.
that I want to talk about is that cop. And that brain,
the zombie,
the zombie cop looks awesome, and that death of like the melting and was fucking badass.
So many things worked.
So for the budget, and then him just like walking around like, please kill me, and like just dripping, is awesome. And the brain, the child brain, which looked so dumb but was so interesting, it looked good. Like, I don't know. I think to know that they spent $50,000 here.
The brain had a very weird science vibe to it. Did you kind of feel that walking brain kind of made me feel weird science from back in the 80s?
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael Powell, shout out. But but they are all rubber shit. It is Power Rangers visuals. So it's like for me, I said I feel like this should be an either 2 or an 8. Like if I was scoring this, I don't know how to score this. I'm like, am I scoring this a 2, or am I scoring this like what am I supposed to do with this? Because like what I saw was a 2, but I enjoyed the hell out of most of that too. So I struggled here.
Well, is it me first? Yeah, it's me first here. So, you said a 2 or an 8. I'm neither. Yeah, but I'm close.
I'm neither either. Fun,
I'm actually a 7 here. On the visuals, and I'll be honest, I was a 6, but then hearing about what they had, I bumped it up. I thought it was worth it at that point in time. That it's not even that they spent their money wisely; they just made it look very good for what they had. To have this whole movie is predicated on the silly, the goofy, the over the top, and at the end of the day, when we're looking at it, going, the gore was awesome. This policeman looked like that was fucking awesome. Like the mask looked good. Like, I take away, a couple points for the hokiness of the electricity and some of like the CGI that's in there. But at the end of the day, I think this looks really good for what they had. So where are you?
Yeah. Well, mine's not a 2 or 8 either. I feel like I could see those scores going into this, because it is go Power Rangers. I gave it a 6. I was right with you until you bumped yours up. I put it slightly better, but there are times that I thought it was definitely an 8, and there's times that I thought it was definitely a 2. So I tried to average it out somewhere, and I didn't want to put it at average 5, so I clicked it up 1.
And Jason was with you on this one. He was a 6. Yep. So this is one of the areas where it shined. Which takes us into act number 4, which is sound design. That goes from the score, the soundtrack, the audio dubbing, the sound effects. How are you feeling about sound design in this one?
I thought everything was pretty good. Like there were scenes where it was coming up, and the score was kind of very subdued and dark and like repetitive type stuff. And it all worked for me. There was nothing that was over the top good, great, or anything along. You go back to last week's episode, Evil Dead. The sound effects were marvelous, and it's not on that level, but everything works in this movie. Like there's no bad sound effects. It had good score, sound design, mixing, everything worked.
Yes, Yes, I agree with you. And one of the sounds that you hear through this movie, and it had to be on point and it had to be right, was PG's voice.
Yeah.
And PG's voice is perfect. It's exactly what you want to hear, and
it's not the same guy.
sometimes-
That's the guy in the suit's not voicing
Yep,
this
yep.
character. So it's somebody coming over and doing ADR over top of somebody's mouth work, which, I mean, that's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do, especially low budget.
I will tell you one thing that loses points here for me is the dumb song that they have, like the weird music video thing on in the middle, and then she starts singing it at the end. I hated that song. I really hated
Frig
that song.
you, frig me.
Yeah, frick you. It does sound like a song from the 80s. It really
Yes,
does.
yes.
But
It looked like it was in the 80s too, like the trucks, the vehicles, what they're wearing, the setup of their house. It felt very 80s. I feel like the frig thing that's more of a story beats thing that I kind of discredited up there. Like that was very stupid. I didn't take that in effect really in the sound design score, but
it's a song they wrote for the movie and perform it as a musical in the movie.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's how I kind of thought it through, but you're not wrong. So
I don't see how you can take a song and be like, that's part of the story. That's not part of the sound.
Because the song was dumb. Like it was meant to be dumb. Like it was like everything in this movie was purposeful.
But it
that's where the argument comes. Yeah,
it irked me. It still irked me.
I fully understand.
And it went into my eardrums. So
your ear holes.
My ear holes. All right. So where are you rating here?
I thought it was pretty good. So one of the scenes that really kind of pushed this up for me is when they leave him in that room for a while, and then she's like, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" And you hear the ominous do 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 do. Like I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool beat," and I kind of dug that Psycho Goreman kind of soundtrack. So I gave it a 6, slightly above average, and I feel like that's high, but I'm living with it.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm not I'm a 5. I
probably would have deserved.
I think for the most part it does exactly what it needs to. Like I said, I give points for PG's voice, and then I take some away for whatever, and I just for that song I land in the middle at a 5. I mean, which I think is a very fair score. But I don't hate your 6 either. I mean, nothing took away, from it that you're like, oh, make it stop.
With this type of budget, sound design score is something that usually always gets hurt, and it didn't in this movie.
Yep, Jason was a little lower than both of us at a 4 here on sound design, which I think is still all right. I mean,
not terrible. I'd like to hear his thoughts on it, like what he disliked about or gave it below average for. So
it takes us to our final, the main event, if you will, the category, which is Carnage. What is Carnage?
Yeah, Carnage is the reason we do horror movies, right? So that's going to be your kills, your mayhem, your fun, just the kind of the encompassing thing that makes this movie a horror movie and makes it worth watching. So was this fun to watch? Was this crazy to watch? Was there death and gore and dismemberment? What do you got?
This was fun as hell. This is a fun movie, and this is
sure.
So. I mean, this movie definitely has its flaws. It's not, they're not trying to win any Oscars. They're not trying to win any type of awards. This is movie that was just made out of love, I think, of, maybe like 90s TV shows and, just horror movies. And I had a blast through it. Jason talks so much shit leading up to this of, I hate this movie, but this is what I remember, the feeling of it's fun.
Yeah.
Like it's not something I'm going to watch 50 times, but I do enjoy it. It's just an enjoyable movie. And I think the humor, the carnage that we do see, I mean, it's just fun.
Here's the thing. This movie's, like you said, has its flaws and it's loaded with them. That being said, this is a repeatable movie. Easy. It is entertaining as hell. The characters are annoying as hell, but as I've said with my Halloween Kills, you start to ignore some of the dialogue and some of the stupid shit people say. But this movie, there's tons of kills. There's tons of mayhem. PG does exactly what you want him to do. And I'll kind of explain it through my favorite scene in the whole in this whole movie. There's one scene that it just worked for me better than anything else. It's when the dad was sitting on the toilet being pissed at his wife, and you see this little light beam come flying into the room, and I guess it's like PG astral projecting his face to like horrify you, but he's trying to give him directions on how to come pick them up, and it worked so well for me and made me laugh so hard.
And the dad's like, I don't know where that is, and then he comes back and he's like, it's make a left at the State Route 77.
But the image is so over the top and so horrifying. It's PG like screaming in this hollow like poltergeist type face, and it's just. But he's trying to give him direction. Take a right at the mall. You know, it just encapsulates the movie perfectly, and it just made me laugh. That was my favorite scene of the whole movie.
You know what that's an excellent scene. I mean, there's so many little hodgepodge things here. You know, take away, like I said, a lot of this movie is a dodgeball game, but the two guys getting their heads ripped off at the beginning. You talked about the guy with his eyes flapping, but remember, he falls on the ground and gets his head smashed or whatever, which was pretty awesome.
And he was like, PG was so pissed. He was like, I worked for hours on that.
Yes,
that was my masterpiece. He was in hell.
It's so funny. Even the scene where PG's dressed up as a fucking cowboy at it's so
and his hands definitely look like gloves that whole time.
Yeah, that one did look good, but the cop melting and then just walking behind, and he's like, please just kill me.
This movie would have been better to do a review scene by scene than almost any other movie I've ever seen. Like, oh, this scene worked for me, this scene didn't. This because it was basically a combination of scenes that kind of made a story. And some of the scenes were excellent, and some of the scenes were nonsensical, and some of the scenes annoyed you. And it was a mixed bag. I loved it. The scenes with those guys sitting around the table, like, oh shit, and he pulls out the gun. All right, who's gonna shoot themselves first? And that little brain thing that's in the tin can or whatever it is. Looks
he goes, me. No, it's me.
It's so funny.
It's just over the top dumb. And as long as you can get past it and you're not like, well, that's not serious. Like, I don't see how you can, dislike parts of this. I don't know.
There's zero way you can dislike this whole. If you just this movie, you can't call dog shit. I thought this is the way the movie was going to be when I saw the trailer a couple years ago, and then Jason kept harping on it, like, oh, we gotta watch this. Oh, we gotta watch this. I was like. It really brought my expectations down. So I kind of am glad he did that because my expectations were really low going into this. I knew it was like a Power Rangers kind of ripoff. I did not know it was going to be as gory as it was. And PG was a real monster in a real movie. He was just controlled, and you have to look at it through a 10-year-old little girl, psychopath little girl's world. And it worked.
Well, in one scene we didn't even talk about is when he goes into the dream. And they got like all the
fabulous
guys.
Scene.
Such a great fucking scene, and it looks awesome. And even after it's done, they're like, "Well, what do we do now?" And he's like, "Well, I just got to wait for you to finish your dream." And they're they're both just staring at each other. Like
that's one of my favorite scenes too. Like
it's great.
I need you to turn on your sister and get me the gym. No, I can't do that. You're stronger but stupider. Now what
You're
do we
a lot
do?
Stronger than I thought you were going to be. Well, what do we do now? Well, we just got to wait for you to wake up.
We got to wait till you're dreamed in. It's just like these zombies are crawling up the side of his bed. It just works. It works. I don't know why this works, but it worked. It's so bizarre. Like you shouldn't like this movie, but you will. The same reason you like Trauma, but in a different fashion. Trauma movies shouldn't work, but they do.
They do. I'm really upset because I keep waiting for a sequel to this movie, and there's nothing. I want a sequel to this movie.
I don't know if they will, because like they would actually put money behind it, and it would suck.
Maybe, but if you write Psycho Goreman the exact same way, I don't really think it matters. I honestly don't.
He destroys the planet, so he'd have to go somewhere else, I guess. And we already got all the backstory, and that was.
But he's not going to hurt them. It'd be funny to pick back up where they're living in a post-apocalyptic world, and like psychos like killed everything, and they're like just sitting there like trying.
You
to
didn't
play
say the whole world. Yeah, I didn't, did I?
So what is your score when it comes to
like I'm embarrassed and also excited to say this. I gave it an 8. Like there's a lot of kills, there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of mayhem. All those 3 things are in here. Like there's no way you can I'd like to see someone score this section just with those parameters score this low. I don't know how you do.
Well, you and I are mano a mano here. I'm an 8. It's my highest category.
Mine too.
Visuals was 7. This is an 8, and I just think it's where it shines. Like I said, start to finish. I won't say start. I don't care about the dodgeball game at the beginning, but once Psycho Goreman enters, which is like 7 minutes into the movie.
The dodgeball game at the beginning is absurd too, because the loser has to bury themselves alive. Like what? Why would, like I was like, is this what they're doing? Like.
But you want to know what's one thing that they do really well, and we didn't mention it at all, actually, in sound design. But they'll have the music playing, and you're like in the scene, and then they'll show it from afar with no music, and the people just look like fucking idiots. Right. And they do that at the beginning with the kids playing dodgeball, and they're playing the music, and they're like going, throwing, and then they just show from afar them just it's
the mom looking out the window.
Yeah, just like spinning in circles and being idiots, and
doing
it's
jumping
just
jacks. Hilarious.
It's very funny how they do that. But Jason did not agree with us so much on this part. He gave a 6, which is still not terrible.
Slightly above. But he had to back up what he said. That's what he was
He did, when he called me, he did say, his words were, "This is actually much funnier than I ever gave it credit for." He goes, "But the movie is still shit." And I was like, okay, if this was like some 1980s whatever, you'd talk about the nostalgia and the like how funny, and it's not about the story, but it's okay.
It felt like an 80s movie.
It did. It had its moments there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is the time where I go in and I add up scores and try to figure out life here. And we also can give up to or take it away bonus points up to 10, which Jason did none. So I'll leave it at that. But are you giving or taking away any bonus points?
Yeah, I'm actually doing something here, and I'm doing a full -10.
Wow.
Yeah, the human characters were dog shit bad. Like I couldn't get past it. I felt like I needed added to it. Like I don't necessarily it was the writing of the characters, the acting of the characters. That little girl, I wanted to die so bad. Her dad, I wanted to die so bad. It's just their characters made the movie harder to watch, and it made me mad. If it like PG was great. I could watch more and more movies with him, but that little family was dog shit bad.
Well,
and I'm being hard on it, but it's one of those things that almost ruined this movie for me.
I'm not with you. I am doing bonus points though, but I'm giving 5 bonus points on this, and I'm going back to. I know I talked about it in the story beats, but the dark humor in this movie is worth bonus points. Like you said, PG not knowing the boy's name throughout is hilarious.
And why does that work? Why does that work? I don't know why that works, but it did. It was
because he'd meet somebody for 5 seconds and he'd be like, "Oh, Peter," and then he'd be like, boy.
It's boy. Yeah. It's Luke. Just, I've been around you for 2 weeks.
The cop trying to kill himself, the hunky boy, like everything hunky about it is just
not my hunky scene.
Boys.
Not my hunky boys.
Everything about this is hilarious. So when we get to it, Jason is the lowest at a 4.4, which is still, I think, higher than what he thought he would originally gave. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So originally, I was a 28 out of 50, and you were a 29 out of 50. So you were a 5.8, and I was a 5.6. Now, when we subtract the 10, though, you go to a 4.8 on the scale, and we'll add my 5. I go to a 6.1. So 6.1 is my score, 4.8 for you, and a 4.4 for Jason.
IMDb gives us a 6.3.
So I'm pretty close.
You're definitely right on
in mine, and I went through a gauntlet of emotions on this, but I think it is a 6 movie. I definitely think it is.
Man, if PG alone almost makes this a 6 movie. They're like he's so good. That character is so well written, so well done, so funny. Like you said, I'd watch this movie again, and I know I kind of scored it down, and I bet over time this score goes up in reoccurring watches. Like my second watch, it'll probably be a 5.3. Like things will kind of change as things move on, but the first time through, those people are going to bug you. And that's probably why Jason hated it so much the first time through. I guarantee it.
I mean, it sounds like he liked it a little bit more the second
4.4 is not shit, though. Like, that's not a shit. That's a slightly below average.
You're slightly below average, too. I think this is definitely above average. Like I said, anything that I have this much fun watching. Yep. Now, I am curious, because the wife a lot of times watches these movies with you, and this is one that I wish she did if she did, or she didn't.
No, she did. She goes, I like that. That's it. Like I kept looking over, and she was like, oh my God, did they just she was like, what are we watching? Like, this is crazy.
It's so stupid that it's fun.
It's so dumb. It's fun. Yeah. And the thing is, the movie is like, through our scoring, that hits almost every category. It is a 5.8. Now, the bonus is basically personal feelings after the fact.
Correct.
Me and you were basically the exact same score, but you've seen it twice. You knew what we were getting in with the kids. It was my first time. I didn't know, and it hit me probably different.
I got to say, I did not fully remember. I remembered the feeling. Yeah. I remembered the dumb dodgeball game. I did not remember the one-liners. I mean, I remember it being funny. I remember laughing, but I laughed way more this time around than I did the first time. So
you are so good in this.
It's great. All right. Well, I'm glad that you kind of proved my point in this, that it actually is a fun movie and not Jason's point of it's a shit movie. But that puts a bow on PG. Hopefully one day we will get to review some form of PG-2. Maybe they could call it PG-13 or something. I don't know, but that's a dumb name.
Deuce.
The deuce. PG drops the deuce. But that is, so that is it. But it's now time to look ahead to next week and take a ride on the Devil's Wheel. For our Devil's Wheel portion of events, we have 11 slots on a wheel. We spin it, whatever it lands on, and that is the movie that we watch the next week. To break down the 11 slots, it starts with one slot for the Devil's Wheel pick, which if it lands on, that is we go to a random generator, and we got to watch whatever that is. And then we each get 3 movies that we put on the wheel. 2 could be whatever. 1 has got to be a movie that we've never seen before. And then the last slot is brand new to this year, where if you win a month, if you get the most wins in a month, you get a bonus slot on the wheel where you could do some pretty fun things, including a re-review of something that we did a long time ago. So lots of fun there. But the devil, because Kirk and I tied last month, so the devil still has the extra slot on the wheel going into this month. We might have to figure that out one of these days. He
needs to quit winning.
I don't know, but this is the first spin of May, so this kind of sets the tone to see exactly what's going on. But before we can spin the wheel, we need to know what is on it, and I actually get to go first because I'm the only one obligated to make a change. So my 3 movies, I'm putting 13 Ghosts back on there. That is the movie that I've never seen. I'm very ashamed of it, and hopefully the wheel can break that from me. Taking of Deborah Logan from, I think it's 2014 or 20. But that is listener request. Elliot, we're in this until
the end.
I'm sorry. I just apologize
guy
in advance. He has, he waited, I think, a long time for yours. And then I'm putting American Psycho on there from 2000. So that'll be my 3rd movie for at least this week. I might just start switching it up every single week. So, Kirk, what are your 3 movies?
Yeah, my movies are staying the same from a week over week basis. So I've got The Empty Man from 2020. I have not seen The Empty Man. The Ritual from 2017 and Constantine from 2005.
All right. And bringing us home here, Jason has Reanimator on there from, I think it's
84.
81 or 84. Yeah.
84.
He's got Hell Night from 81 and Graduation Day from 81. I don't know which one he's not. I think it's Graduation Day is the one that he hasn't seen.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But odds are it sucks. So all that's left to do is spin the wheel.
That wheel.
It's I'm realizing that I did not make certain changes on here. But somebody just doubled up 2 wins in a row. And
Oh, that's a big one.
Elliot, we've won for you here. It is the taking of Deborah Logan. Holy
you didn't
crap.
have to wait very long.
This is crazy. This is where I take over now. I'm now up to 4. Kirk, how many victories do you have?
I'm at 4 as well, I believe.
We
I
are
gotta forget it.
tied. I think we are tied in this. I think Jason's at like 6 or 7 still, but you and I think are now officially tied.
Yeah,
and
I'm at 4.
Elliot, this is for us. We've done it. I mean, listen, I'm so happy. I've won 3 out of like 5 or 3 out of 4 weeks now. This is
you're kind of on a run here.
I told you before this ever started, the wheel tends to always even out, but I started even second guessing it with the start to this year. I don't think the wheel can even average. Like I'd have to win 10 weeks in a row, but it's starting to come in my favor.
Jason, you're gonna get taken out, my friend.
And if it would have went a little bit more to the left, it would have been Reanimator from Jason, and a little to the right was actually American Psycho. So those
2 out of 3 is yours.
Yes,
I spun the wheel for the Devil's Random Generator, and it would have been I Spit on Your Grave from 2010.
Oh, what? You know what? We've actually already done that one, so we would have had to gone back to the drawing board at that. It
would have been Little Monsters from 2019.
That one's actually, if it's the one that is it like a yellow cover or whatever?
Yes.
That's actually a really fun movie. Yeah, that's actually one that I might have to put on at some point.
On
but
here
maybe we'll just save it for
Death,
the
Halloween, Rob Zombie, Ghostland.
Well, listen, don't ruin. Like I don't want to know the movies that I'm going to end up watching here. It's
this is super random. This is a random. This could be any horror movie there is.
That Little Monster is actually that might be worth. That's another one that's kind of like what we just watched, where it's fun. But we will reconvene in 7 days, same bat time, same bat channel. Little air fist bump to Elliot as we
Pat
are
yourself on the back.
We are going streaking. That's what we're doing. I'm so proud.
You're a happy guy.
Kirk, I mean, you could just finish the show from here. I mean,
I don't even know how to finish this out. So, I've never done this before, and Jason's doesn't even know how to speak right now. So, if you haven't already, please follow us on Facebook. I already plugged it several times. MVJ Horror, Instagram, MVJ Horror Cast, right?
Sure, it's one of those.
Sure, and YouTube's MVJ Horror. So I've got about 1,400, pushing 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. So definitely check us out there.
And we are now finally, thank you to everybody subscribing to our horror group on Facebook. We are over 1,000 subscribers now through that. So that is fantastic. Yep. Now let's get to 2.
Let's go.
Yes. But listen, whether you've been rocking with us for 1 episode or all 162 that we have out there, we do appreciate you. We look forward to next week in the taking of Deborah Logan. And it's also the second week of the month, which for Pardon the Tear, what does that mean, Kirk?
That is our ranking. So we're doing our top 50 rankings. It's our favorite movies, favorite horror movies. And every month we're counting down 5, and it gets us all the way to October.
What numbers are we on? I don't even know what numbers we're on. 25 to 20, maybe 30 to 25.
No, I think we're 35 to 30. It's the fifth month, 5 times 5, 25 to 30, 25 to 30.
Okay. So 30 to 25 actually is what would be.
30 to 26.
Yes. All right. So that is coming up, and go into the archives if you want to see any of our existing lists. We'll have those out when we're finished. We'll put them up, and you guys can rate and tell us which one of us has the best list and why it's me. So very excited for that. But yeah, so next week, a lot of big things. I think Jason will be back, but who knows? If not, nobody can do it better than this 2-man crew.
Now that you won, I doubt he'll be back.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he will stay out there and with the hunky boys.
With the hunky boys.
But until next time, peace.